would like to call the organizational meeting to order. All the members of the board are present. I have an announcement in regard to advise that in an event of a fire emergency, an evacuation should be necessary. An alarm will sound. And please note all marked emergency exits and evacuate well away from the building. Also, at this time, I'm requesting that everyone please turn their cell phones and other electronic devices to silent. Thank you. Starting with agenda review, may I have a motion, please, to approve the agenda as presented? Mrs. Leatherbarrow, motion. Mrs. Beeger, second. Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Just for the record, the oaths of office were all administered on July 1st to the Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Brown Hall, and the 3 elected board members, Ms. Poulin, Dr. Lippman, and Dr. Singh. At this time, this is the second roll call. All members are officially seated at the table. And at this time, we will do the pledge. Dr. Brown Hall, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, at this time, I'm going to need to appoint a temporary parliamentarian and timekeeper, and that will be Mr. Matursky. Thank you, Mr. Matursky. Are there any board acknowledgements at this time? Mrs. Leatherbarrow.
I just would like to share that earlier today, Senator Rath presented Dr. McKenna with a legislative proclamation for his incredible work and service as acting superintendent of schools during the COVID-19 pandemic. Congratulations, Dr. McKenna. And we have a short video that Mr. Filipowski is going to share with us.
It's, again, my honor as a state senator representing the 61st district as well as the Waynesville Central School District, and by the way, my hometown school district, to present this to you. And this is in recognition of Dr. John McKenna. Whereas the purpose of this legislative proclamation is to honor an individual in the state of New York whose purposeful endeavors serve to enhance the quality of life in the community. And whereas Dr. John McKenna stepped into the role of acting superintendent at the Waynesville Central School District in September of 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic. Whereas John was the assistant superintendent of human resources at Waynesville Central School District before taking over as acting superintendent during a critical time in the school district's history. And whereas he has earned many honors and accolades during his years. He is an honorary lifetime member awardee of the Kappa Delta Pi, received a New York State Senate resolution for dedicated service, and this month received a prestigious alumni award from our university at Buffalo. And whereas he, along with the support of his dedicated staff, experienced educators, parents, and students, managed remotely, and we managed remote learning and hybrid teaching. And whereas adapting to an ever-changing and challenging situation, the Waynesville Central School District worked together under Dr. McKenna's guidance to help the students have a successful school year. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that I, Edward A. Rath, representing the 61st Senatorial District, do hereby issue this proclamation in honor of John McKenna upon his year serving as acting superintendent of the Waynesville Central School District, and thank him for his dedication and leadership to our community and to our students.
Thank you. So thank you.
Present this to you.
Oh my goodness, it's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank
It's
you.
my honor. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'm humbled by this, and I can say it's all about team. And when you work with a team that we have,
that's what this is. This is for everybody who worked together, and it was all of us that made this happen, because you are an amazing, fantastic team of people. And it was my honor and privilege to work with you through this year. So I thank you, and I thank everyone, and I look forward to the future and all the great things we're going to be doing in our district as our team continues to move forward. So thank you again.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Dr. McKenna.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are there any other board acknowledgements? Mr. Biscaglia?
I just want to acknowledge all the high school graduates from Williamsville last month in June. I attended in Williamsville East, and they just did a wonderful job putting on the ceremony. Many parents said how nice it was outside, and it was just it was a great sight to see all the kids together and enjoying themselves, as they send off into their next adventure. So I want to congratulate all the graduates.
Dr. Lippman?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank the parents and grandparents, young people, legislators who were out in front of this building at an Unmask the Student rally today, and commend them for their viewpoints that will benefit our students. So thank you all.
Any others? Okay, moving on to agenda item 5A, public expression. At this time, Mr. Matriska, would you please read the public expression statement?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Carey. Per policy 1510, the board has set aside 30 minutes for public expression, a time when we invite members of the community to share ideas and concerns with us. We welcome this opportunity to hear from you. Each person is given up to 3 minutes in which to address the board. You will be signaled with a yellow flag at 2.5 minutes so that you may conclude your remarks. This is a meeting held in public rather than a public meeting, which means we will not be engaging in a dialogue with members of the community this evening. Rest assured, we are listening carefully and we take seriously what you have to say. We would also like to ask that you demonstrate respect for us and for one another by speaking to the issues, giving us ideas, sharing your opinions, and not engaging in any personal attacks. Thank you for your cooperation. Thank you to all those who have pre-registered for public expression. At this time, I will call on you. Please step up to the podium and state your name. Molly Ambruster.
Hi, everybody. My name is Molly Armbruster, and I really appreciate you guys taking this time to hear us today. I'd like to welcome Dr. Brown Hall to Williamsville.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Dr. McKenna, for everything you've done for our children this year. I have a daughter who is at high middle going into 6th grade, and I have a son at Maple West going into 2nd. It's very clear why we're all here. As parents, we are done hoping masks will be eliminated. We are here asking for your help and your support in removing these mask mandates. We understand your hands are tied, but we need your support and we need you to back us up. There have been proven reports that these masks are ineffective within schools and they have the same amount of transmission rates with or without them. On June 21st, Cuomo lifted all COVID restrictions with the exception of medical facilities and schools. School-age children have some of the lowest transmission rates. They are 10% of all COVID cases. They account for 0.2% of all fatality rates, which includes that children have more of a chance of death of flu, drowning, or car accident. And they also account for 0.8% of hospitalizations, not even 1%. My family and I had COVID in February. My 6-year-old had a fever for 6 hours. My 10-year-old had no symptoms. My husband and I had basically a cold. Because my 10-year-old did not tested negative and showed no symptoms, they wanted us to quarantine her in her room and isolate for 10 days and leave food at the door, basically like an animal. I will tell you that her doctor said was rooting for her to be positive, so she didn't have to deal with that. That is 100% child abuse. Luckily, my husband and I and my family got through it totally fine. I'm not going to give you a sad story that my kids hate having masks on. My kids are good kids. They respect adults and authorities, and they do wear their masks. However, they are being conditioned and mentally crippled by these ridiculous mask mandates to think this is normal. This is not normal, and it needs to stop. 27 other states have lifted these mandates, and we need to get on board with this and get up to speed. To put this into perspective, we have kids going to school 6 to 7 hours a day, going over to friends' houses. Let's be realistic. They're going over to friends' houses. They're going on play dates. They're joining sports teams, and then they come back to school. It needs to be consistent. We're not going to go down without a fight. We see the agenda. We can see that the mandated vaccines are a strong possibility. And I'll be perfectly honest with you. I can say that our biggest worry is that they're going to hold the mask mandates, and they're going to exchange it with the mandated vaccines. This is our power and our right to choose as parents and Americans. If you continue with the masks, I assure you there will be plenty of letters of intent to homeschool coming your way, as well as plenty more protests and rallies coming from us. Please support us as parents and also the educators that have been vaccinated to get the mask off these kids and off of our educators. They deserve to have a free, healthy education experience within their school every day, 5 days a week, back to how it was. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Molly.
Marcella Pacone. Marcella Pacone. Oh,
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to speak today. My name is Marcella Pacone. I'm a mom of two, a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old that will be entering the district in a handful of years. I don't like the direction that the future of our kids is going. I don't see my kids, along with many other kids, going to a public system due to the elimination of personal choice. Parents such as myself want to stay focused on the foundation and the traditional teaching principles. We want the option of personal choice. Mr. Brown Hall, only time will tell how parents like me will critique your leadership style. But before I get started, I want to ask every panel, how many of you actually want masks to be optional when the fall starts? Would anybody like to raise their hand? Thank you. Maybe I'll ask a simple question. How many want to leave the decision on the parents to decide what is best for their kids? Thank you, Dr. Littman. So for everyone that didn't raise their hand today, either you're afraid to be a leader or you believe that parents don't know or shouldn't have the say in what is best for their children. How about this? Let me ask, has anybody called the governor's office and voiced their concerns? Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? If you haven't called the governor, jot down his number, 518-474-8390. You dial 3 and you can leave a voicemail. Has anybody sent an email to the governor? Thank you. Every one of us should be communicating with our elected leaders. That is our right to do. There's a phone number and there's an email. And where we fail is what it means to advocate for our children. Many parents will reserve their opinion, as I mentioned before, until after we witness your actions and how you encourage the rest of the board to be advocates for our kids. You're going to set that example, and we need to see the examples before we critique your style. I am sure that there are many parents hoping and praying that you stand up and have a voice, like the Pioneer Central School District, where they decided to wearing masks was going to be optional for both students and staff. Benjamin Hazley is the superintendent of Pioneer Central District. Doctor, I know I'm going to go over by 2 minutes. Would that be okay that I go about 4 or 5 minutes?
No.
No.
I will continue. Benjamin Hazley felt that it was important to make a stand at this point that's consistent with others, part of their lives, that wearing masks become a personal choice. Michael Cornell, the superintendent, president of the Erie County School Superintendent, also said there is a limit to the effectiveness to the state managing the day-to-day operations of the school districts. I think that the day has just about arrived that local control of the school district needs to be restored to you, the board members, and you as teachers and superintendents.
Thank you.
I
your
sure
message.
hope that you take a stand like Pioneer. But unfortunately, the governor threatened that district and they eliminated the funding. So instead of losing the funding, they decided to go fully remote. This is important. These are tools that we need to be advocates. We don't know what we're doing. We have no idea what it means to speak to the board or the elected officials. So imagine that. The kids and the teachers didn't say their last goodbyes. They didn't give their hugs to their teachers. They didn't take those photos, all because of their values and their beliefs in parents should have personal choice. We all know that withholding state funding is unethical and is a bullying tactic. We need more strong leaders. Please be that leader. Please be that voice for us as our parents and stand up so that you can take control back for the day-to-day operations of the school districts. We are advocating for you to advocate for us and our kids.
Thank you.
I know that Senator Robert Orts and Ed Rath joined our protest today because they wanted to encourage us as parents that we're doing the right thing.
Marcella.
I will just quickly jump. I'm not done.
Your time is up.
Our children are the least vulnerable population, and they are still required to wear masks. Why are states like Florida, Texas, and Arizona thriving? Kids are back to school 5 days a week the entire time when there wasn't even a mention. Is science different in a red state? Is COVID less deadly in a red state? Stop using our children as political pawns. We should all be embarrassed that we allowed it and that you allowed our kids to go back to school with these masks. I understand it's at the
Next person is Dr. Reddy.
Go ahead, you can go to the next person.
Dr. Reddy. Next person is Jonathan Rich.
Hi, everyone. This work? Perfect. I didn't show up today to talk about masking, but I do think you're all very brave for showing up today. It's great that you're standing up for your children. Thank you. My name is Jonathan Rich. I'm one of the organizers of Williamsville Students First. Dr. Brownhall, this is your first Board of Education meeting, and I already have something to thank you for. For about 6 months, we've been asking for Board of Education meeting reminders to go out through WITS. It was really refreshing to get the last one last week. I hope that continues. It's really refreshing to see already a shift into more communication. We need to get as many parents involved as we can, and using WITS as a tool to do that is very, very vital. One more thing on communication that I'm going to bring up. We've had a lot of issues this year with freedom of information requests. They take 20 days to get rejected. The rejection doesn't have a lot of information in it. And then we have to move on. Comparing that with freedom of information requests that we submit to Erie County Department of Health, the state government, Board of Elections, some of those get returned in 72 hours. We get exactly what we're looking for. It's very prompt. So I would appreciate that system being looked into. Because those freedom of information requests are very valuable for parents to understand some of the things that are going on behind the scenes. So that would be appreciated as well. But the real reason I'm speaking today is actually to bring up, hi, Mrs. Beeger. Mrs. Beeger said something last month that I was really happy to hear. It was really a nice thing to hear. And I wish I could have stood up and clapped when she said it. There was a discussion about BOCES, how BOCES is presented to parents in the district, how it is presented to students, how to change the perception. I mean, BOCES has had a perception for 20 years that it doesn't deserve. And what she said was maybe the board should be setting policy on this. And I think that that's something that is so valuable. Please, yes, set policy at the district level on this thing. All year, we've heard from parents and teachers looking for the board to set policy. In the last few months, we've had dozens of questions on mask breaks, holiday observations, sex ed being canceled, sex ed not being canceled, special education, open enrollment, transportation, and of course, everyone's favorite post-COVID issue, critical race theory. This is a district of nearly 10,000 students. Many education issues vary from student to student, but many of those education issues are universal. The NISBA Code of Ethics states that it is the exclusive authority of the Board of Education to establish policy. In the next 12 months, we've got a lot of new faces in the room today. And I would like to see a reinvigorated board that proactively addresses these issues, makes decisions, and is accountable for those decisions rather than leaving that responsibility to busy administrators, busy teachers, and parents to wonder what's going on. So that's all I had to say. It's nice to meet you. It's nice to see everyone today, and have a good summer.
You're awesome. Thank you.
I'll just say something. That concludes those who have pre-registered. At this time, we will move on to the next agenda item, and that is the adoption of the election process. May I have a motion to approve and adopt the election process and the election of the officers as presented? Ms. Pullen and a second? Ms. Kazmarek Bogner, thank you. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Now I will move on to 6B, which is the election of president for the Board of Education. Is there a nomination for the Board of Education president at this time? Ms. Kazmarek Bogner, would you?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Mrs. Teresa Ann Leatherbarrow for president. Thank you.
And Mrs. Leatherbarrow, do you accept this nomination?
I do. Thank you.
Are there any other nominations for the president of the Board of Education? Seeing none, nominations are closed at this time, and I will take a roll call vote. So you vote yes or no. And I'll start off with Mrs. Beeger,
Yes.
Mr. Biscaglia,
Yes. Yes, sorry.
Mrs. Kazmarek Bogner,
Yes.
Mrs. Leatherbarrow,
Yes. Thank you.
Dr. Lippman,
No.
Dr. McClary,
Yes.
Ms. Poulin,
Yes.
Dr. Singh,
No.
Mrs. Van Sice.
Yes.
Okay. According to the vote, Mrs. Leatherbarrow is elected president of the Board of Education to serve one-year term from July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Moving on to the election of vice president for the Board of Education. Is there a nomination for the vice president of the Board of Education? Dr. McClary?
I would like to nominate Mrs. Suzanne Van Sice for the position of Vice President.
Okay. Mrs. Van Sice, do you accept this nomination?
Yes, I do.
And are there any other nominations at this time? Okay, seeing none, I declare the nominations closed, and I will take a roll call vote for vice president. Mrs. Beeger,
Yes.
Mr. Biscaglia,
Yes.
Ms. Kazmarek Bogner,
Yes.
Mrs. Leatherbarrow,
Yes.
Dr. Lippman,
No.
Dr. McClary,
Yes.
Ms. Boulay,
Yes.
Dr. Singh,
No.
Mrs. Van Sice.
Yes.
Okay, at this time, roll call vote says Mrs. Van Sice has now been elected Vice President of the Board of Education to serve a one-year term from July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022.
Thank you.
Congratulations. This time I will also administer the oath of office to the Board President and the Board Vice President. If you would kindly step up to the podium. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I
Teresa Leatherbarrow,
I, Suzanne Van Sice,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
do solemnly serve
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New York,
of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties
the duties of the President
of the Board of Education.
of the Board of Education
the duties of Vice President of the Board of Education
For the Williamsville Central School District,
for the Williamsville Central School District
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Thank you.
ma'am.
It is.
At this time, the Board President will now preside the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Carey and Mr. Matursky, for leading off our meeting, and thank you, Board of Education members, for your vote of confidence. Last week, I had the privilege to see over 300 graduates cross the stage at North High School, one of which was my own son, our middle child. I just want to share that I'm very much aware and continually grateful for the education and opportunities that exist here in Williamsville. Our district does an exemplary job in preparing our students to become contributing adults, and it is a great responsibility that I don't take lightly to ensure that our high level of service and education continues to evolve and grow. As a board member and as president, I value honesty, integrity, and professionalism. I listen with the aim to learn and have a sincere desire to build compassion and collaboration. If you know me, you know that I prefer not to be in the spotlight, but rather to roll up my sleeves and do whatever needs to be done. Thank you for your consideration and trust, and I look forward to serving with each of you, regardless of whether or not you supported me, in continued service for our district and for our future global citizens. We are now on agenda item 8, correct?
Yes.
All right, thank you. For policy 1320, I wish to appoint Mrs. Kazmarek Bogner to serve as the parliamentarian timekeeper for the 2021-2022 fiscal year. Mrs. Bogner, do you accept?
I do, thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion, please, to approve the annual appointments, items 1 through 30, as presented in board docs? Thank you, Mrs. Seeger. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Littman. Is there any discussion on these items? Mrs. Van Sice.
Yes, I would just like to recognize that I am again abstaining from voting on the appointment specifically of Harris Beach as one of the district's attorneys, as I did in September 2018, when Harris Beach, primarily through its Buffalo office, was recommended for appointment by the then superintendent and was appointed unanimously by the district's other board members. My sister Tracy Lepardi, a successful labor and employment, as well as school attorney throughout New York State for over 20 years, is a partner at Harris Beach. Abstaining from this vote is not required by board policy or New York general municipal law, as there is no conflict. But to avoid any concerns, I am again abstaining.
Thank you, Mrs. Van Sice. Is there any other
I have a
discussion?
question, I have a discussion.
Okay, please wait to be called on. Go ahead, Mr. Littman.
Oh, thank you. It lists school district attorneys. We have 5 of them of various price ranges. I just have 2 questions. Historically, what percentage of work is done by each of these firms? And what specializations do they bring to the table? And how do we decide with Harris Beach, which charges a certain length, and another one like Goldberg Segalia, which charges a different rate? I don't know who has that answer.
Yes, go ahead, Dr. Brown.
Okay, absolutely. So, and there was in the document that I know was distributed, Harris Beach, it gets about 68.8% of the work. This is with last year totals. And Hodgson Russ, about 16%. Goldberg Segala, about 1.5%. And we use BOCES also at about 11.69%.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 801. Thank you. Is there a motion to please approve the annual bank depositories as presented? Dr. McCleary, thank you. Is there a second? Mr. Biscaglia?
Mrs. Leatherbarrow, I'm sorry.
Did I skip one?
A, so you're doing annual designations, official
Oh,
newspaper?
I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's separate.
Back to
It'd be separate.
9A.
Yep.
Annual designations. Is there a motion to please approve the annual designations as presented? Thank you, Mrs. Van Sice. Is there a second on that one? Mrs. Beaker, thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried unanimously on 9A. Going back to 9B, is there a motion to approve the bank depositories? Thank you, Mr. Littman. Is there a second? Dr. McCleary, is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 702. Thank you. All right, would someone like to make a motion, please, to resolve to adopt agenda item 10A, policy manual, board docs, policies, and agenda item 10B, the New York State Archives record retention and disposition schedule, LGS 1, as presented. Thank you, Mrs. Figure. Is there a second? Mrs. Van Sice, thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried unanimously. Moving on to item 11. Is there a motion to please approve annual authorization for 11 finance, 12 rates, 13 designees, and 14 bid agreement as presented? Thank you, Mrs. Bigger. Is there a second, please? Dr. Poland, thank you. And is it Mrs. Poland or Dr. Poland?
Ms.
Okay, I apologize.
That's okay.
I'll learn it. Thank you, Mrs. Poland, for the second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Thank you. Opposed or abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. May I have a motion, please, to approve the Board of Education liaison guidelines and appointments for the 2021-2022 and the principles for order of controversial meetings as presented in board docs in items 15, 16A, and 16B. Mrs. Poland, thank you very much. May I have a second? Mrs. Beeger, thank you. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. All right, so if we move on to our board school visits and guidelines, I did send an email regarding this today. The board has not had the opportunity yet to discuss our expectations for school visits with our new superintendent. One thing that COVID has taught me is that with crisis comes opportunity. And we may not want to continue doing things the way we always did them just because they were past practice. There might be an opportunity to do something a little bit differently. In the past, we used school visits to socialize with teachers and staff members in either the cafeteria or the library. We would serve breakfast, but we didn't get to really see the students. And that's truly what we are here for. And we are here to also observe where all of the money goes. During the pandemic, we switched our focus to have the purpose of our visits be student-based. We worked with Dr. McKenna and asked that when we visit, we see that students are engaged in the activities of their day. We were able to also see where the money went. So we got to see the progress on the music capital projects. We got to see all of the equipment that was purchased throughout the year, especially all the technology, the cameras, the headsets, all of that. I would like to propose that we table item 16C so that we have time to revise the purpose of our visits with the superintendent at next month's meeting, and also schedule our visits for the year so we get them on the calendars. That way everyone's clear about when we're going to go and where we're going to be. So at this time, I motion that we table item 16C until next month. May I have a second, please? Thank you, Ms. Kazmierczak-Faulkner. Is there any discussion on this? Does anyone need clarity as to why I'm tabling it? Thank you so much for your understanding and cooperation on this. We just didn't, July just passed and we didn't get a chance to really book our visits for the year. All right, all in favor then of tabling this item? Thank you so much. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. All right, we're looking at our board meeting calendar. I want to share that our board meeting calendar is always posted on our district website, which does list our meetings for the entire year. I know it was mentioned in public expression about which throughout the entire summer and throughout the entire year, there have been notifications of our board meetings sent out every time the agenda comes out, and then every Monday or Tuesday, it also comes out. So with that, would someone like to make a motion to resolve to approve and adopt the Board of Education meeting calendar, item 16D, our first board retreat date in 16E, and a community forum date of March 22nd in 16F, with the intention of approving an additional retreat date and an additional community forum date at our August meeting. Well, that was a mouthful. Thank you, Mrs. Beeger. Second, Mrs. Van Sice. Is there any discussion on that? And I just want to sort of pull the board because, with COVID the past 2 years, we only had one retreat. Does everyone support the idea of having 2 retreats this year? Thank you. Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. Motion carries unanimously. We're moving on to item G, which is our media guidelines. May I have a motion, please, to approve and adopt the Williamsville Central School District media guidelines as presented? Thank you, Dr. Lippman. May I have a second? Mrs. Van Sice, are there any questions or comments? All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Now moving on to our consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda items 18 personnel, 19 business, and 20 special needs and student activities as presented in board docs? Thank you, Dr. McCleary. Second, Mrs. Van Sice. Is there any discussion on any of these items? Dr. Littman?
I have three questions. We have a list of temporary part-time appointments. And my question would be, based on student enrollment between now and when school starts, would any of those have a possibility of going to full-time, or are they locked in to this level of, I guess, part-timeness?
Yeah, they are as of right now, because that is based on student need and enrollment. And if they were to become a 1.0 position, they would need to be reposted. So the persons in those positions would not be able to fall right into a 1.0 position.
Okay, there's one. There's also a note that the summer school music program was canceled for 2021. And
Yeah, and I don't know that it's canceled, Dr. Littman. I know there's a limited summer music program. A full program wasn't planned due to the uncertainty of COVID. So some summer lessons and small groups are provided this summer, but next summer we expect to have a full, robust music program.
because it's always been a strong area for our community and students. The last question relates to the 9 new positions for microcomputer support technicians. And I made a note to myself, oh, we're getting 9 new micro technicians. But as I read further, I discovered that there was 7 or 8, I don't think how many retired. Not retired, they resigned to take positions at MCST. I don't know what that is, so.
Yeah, it's really a great thing for those individuals and for the district. I will ask Dr. McKenna to just fill us in a little bit on that, if you can.
Sure. Am I on? Okay, thank you. What we did is we worked with one of the groups, the computer support technicians, and basically what we did was we dissolved that unit and we made them to go into the other unit with the MCSTs. It gives us more flexibility with the staff to do, more jobs and more, we can do a lot more with them and use them in various functions across the district. And it allows us to, when we recruit new staff coming in, it gives us a chance to recruit and retain people for the future. So it's something that the district actually been looking to do for quite a while. So we had an opportunity to move forward in that direction, and that's what we did.
It sounds like a good idea. Thank you for
You're welcome.
clarifying that.
Thank you, Dr. McKenna.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried unanimously. At this time, I would like to welcome and congratulate the newly appointed assistant principal for North High School, Miss Kristen Rizzo, and congratulate Miss Heidi Buffamonte for her appointment to the position of assistant principal at High Middle School. And ladies, if you're here, you're welcome to come up to the podium so that we can greet you properly.
Thank you so much for letting me introduce myself tonight. I'm honored to be appointed assistant principal at Williamsville North High School, and I'll thank Dr. Brown Hall, the assistant superintendents, and the board for your approval tonight. I also want to thank the students, the parents, the faculty and staff, and the school leaders that were a part of the interview teams. I'm looking forward to joining the North High School team and continuing the great work that's already going on there. As a community member and a parent, I feel very passionate about the school system, and I'm looking forward to serving the community in this new role. I'm excited to get started. Thank you.
Welcome.
Hi, hello. Good evening. Woo, I'm gonna fix this. There we go. So first, a genuine thank you to our Board of Education, Dr. Brown Hall, and our district leadership for this appointment. I am endlessly grateful as I stand here this evening for our students, our families, the teachers, and Charlie Smilanich at Dodge Elementary. The past 3 years have been full of experiences that have been rich, focused on student learning, and having a lot of fun. So I am grateful for that. I am also eager and excited to build new relationships with those at Heim, work alongside Dr. Jakalowski,
and really fulfill that passion I have for middle school. So thank you all so much.
Thank you.
All right, oh, sure.
Yeah, photo.
Come on down.
You got it.
Where's the table? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Go to your head.
Yeah. Let's help it.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I would like to thank the following retirees for their service to the district. I will read their name, their location of service, and their years of service. Karen Baker, Transit Middle School for 25 years of service. Sheila Bordonaro at Casey Middle for 32 years. Barbara Boyd, North High School, 36 years. Sharon Fiegel, Maple East, 24 years of service. Mariana Giamanco, North High School, 23 years of service. Marilyn Hallmesser, Maple East Elementary, 26 years of service. Richard Kolinsky, Country Parkway, 7 years of service. Karen Millibrandt, Dodge Elementary, 15 years of service. Eileen O'Neill, South High School, 25 years of service. Deborah Rubazik, PT clerk typist at the Community Education for 22 years of service. So congratulations to our retirees. Is there a motion, please, to approve the June 8th regular board meeting minutes? Oh, sorry, I don't know why I'm raising my hand. Ms. Kazmarek-Bogner, is there a second? Mrs. Beeger, are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? All right, and I will ask that our new board members do abstain. All in favor, please? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 603. Thank you. So we are moving on to our president's report. All right. So first off was our high school graduations. Our high school graduations were held on June 26th at all 3 high schools. It did not rain. A huge heartfelt thank you to the many staff members who planned for the 3 ceremonies. And I really want to celebrate our facilities and grounds crew for literally setting the stage and the chairs and the extra bleachers and pretty much everything else and making sure everything looked absolutely fantastic for our graduates. Right, next is our ECASB, which is our Erie County Association of School Boards. The virtual Western New York Law Conference will be held August 10th and 12th. Registration information will be coming out soon. If there's anyone from the board interested in attending, you can make your intent known now, or you can let Mrs. Carey know via email. Anyone want to go on record for being registered for this event?
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
If we're registered for the July law conference, is that different or will it be?
Different in that it's a different group putting on the conference, so there may be some overlapping information. Typically, we try and trade off so that we're not all attending everything because it does become
right.
a cost to the district. So I've attended these law conferences several times, so I'm going to refrain this time around, but you're welcome to attend as a new board member if you'd like to. Okay.
I'm attending the July one, so I will.
Okay, great. Membership dues for Erie County Association of School Boards. You know, this is a really valuable organization that we're a part of. And at this time, I'm going to ask, would someone like to make a motion to resolve to renew the board's membership for the Erie County Association of School Boards and authorize the payment of $9,489 for the 2021-2022 annual membership dues? Thank you, Mrs. Van Sice. Dr. Littman, thank you. Is there any discussion on that item? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? All right, thank you. Motion carries unanimously. Does anyone have anything else to report under ECASB? Mrs. Beater.
I don't have anything to report and probably should have spoken up in discussion. I just wanted to mention for those who wonder what Erie County Association of School Boards does for us. There's so many different pieces to ECASB, but in particular, it's come up tonight about advocacy, and that has really been a central piece of our work with Erie County Association of School Boards. We are constantly getting emails. We have representatives that could speak to it better than I could because I'm not the rep, but the reports that come back, the information that comes to us, the advocacy, that's a big advocacy group for us and how we get a great deal of information. So I'm grateful for that and just wanted to share that with people that weren't sure what that association is about.
Thank you, Ms. Speaker. And when we approved our liaison appointments, several of us took appointments to serve as liaisons for different committees at the Erie County Association of School Boards. So they have a legislative committee, they have a budget and finance committee, and they do quite a bit of student advocacy. Because as you know, when you're trying to advocate for a cause, it's important to organize and have people that join your cause. And that's what we get from ECASB. New York State School Board Association, the Summer Law Conference that Ms. Pullen just spoke about will be happening July 22nd and July 23rd. It is $200 per member to attend. Right now, we have Mrs. Van Sice, Ms. Pullen, Dr. Singh, and Dr. Littman signed up to attend. Mrs. Oh, go ahead.
You know what? I'm so sorry that you
No.
didn't call me. I can refrain from that one.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. I'm gonna take your
I'll
name.
refrain, Mrs. Carey.
Got it. Thank you.
Mrs. Carey will process the registration for the conference. So thank you, Mrs. Carey, for taking care of that. The 102nd annual NYSSBA convention is planned to happen in person this year. So that's a nice treat because that hasn't happened in a while. So that will be Sunday, October 24th through Tuesday, October 26th. It will be in New York City. I am personally interested in attending. Is anyone else interested in attending at this time? Mrs. Van Sice, thank you. And you'll have more time to look into it if you want to look over the agenda of all the offerings and see if it's something that you really want to do. We do ask that if you make the commitment to go, that you do attend the entire event and participate in conferences the entire time. It's not a social field trip in New York. We are at conferences morning, noon, and night. We will approve the costs and attendees at the August 10th, 2021 regular board meeting. Does anyone have anything else to report under NYSSBA? Great, thank you. Moving on to item E, would someone like to make a motion to nominate Miss Linda Hoffman for Area 1 Director for NYSSBA? And there is a letter from Ms. Hoffman in board docs. Dr. McCleary, thank you. May I have a second? Mrs. Beaker, thank you. And Ms. Hoffman has, I believe she's a board member in Silver Creek, or is it Springbell? Springbell, yeah. And she's been dedicated to school board service and participating through ECASB in a leadership position and NYSSBA for several years now. Is there any additional discussion on that?
Well,
Dr.
I was
McCleary.
just going to add that I have had the opportunity for at least the past several years to work with Mrs. Hoffman on the ECASB Executive Committee. And indeed, this is a reappointment that if you looked at all the things that she's done, not just in district, but Erie County and BOCES 2, and all that, it's probably 30 years worth of service, and she is incredibly knowledgeable on all the topics. So I was very glad to nominate her to be
Thank you, Dr.
reappointed.
McLaren. Thank you for getting all that information to us. All right, all in favor on this nomination? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously.
I abstain.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dr. Littman, I didn't see that. So we have 801. All right, we reviewed our board goals at the May 25th meeting and our self-evaluation at the June 8th meeting. All of that information is available for everyone in board docs, which is accessible from our district website. Between now and our next meeting, I'm going to ask the board to please review the results of the self-evaluation and last year's goals. We will use the results to help us identify board goals for our next session. We will also talk about that a little bit during the retreat, which will be this Thursday. Please submit any goal revisions or ideas to Mrs. Carey by August 1st so that we have time to get them formatted and review them. Any questions or comments about board goals or the board evaluation? And Mrs. Carey, I'll work with you so that we can get super eval set up for our next cycle and get usernames and passwords for our 3 board members and get Dr. Darren Brown Hall entered in there as well.
Sounds good.
Great. Community update. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to you, Dr. Brown Hall, for your first community update.
Thank you very much, President Leatherborough. If Nick can put it up there. Thank you, Nick. We have a few things that I do want to share with you this evening. And I will, the first item being summer school. As many of you know, as many community members know, summer school began last Thursday, July 1st. Information was sent to families in the Connection newsletter and is also available on the district website. I had the pleasure of actually going to both summer schools last Friday, myself and Dr. Balin, and I know that Dr. Balin and Mr. Scanzuzzo visited on the 1st. But July 1st began both summer schools, elementary and middle, at Transit Middle School, and the principal for that summer school is Miss Heidi Bufamonte. And the high school summer school is at Williamsville East, and the principal for that summer school is Courtney Charleston Smith. And so both are off to a great start. Students were engaged, so I got to meet some students and some teachers, so it was really exciting. Just a few reminders regarding health and safety. Parents still need to fill out the daily COVID-19 health screening questionnaire for their students. Masks are still required to be worn in school. The district is discontinuing, however, the daily COVID-19 report, but will notify families if there is a positive case in the district. Listening tour. So I know many of you have received letter, information, YouTube video about the listening tour. This is an initiative that allows stakeholders to get to know me as a superintendent and to provide feedback on ideas for the district and the board as a whole. So there'll be 4 events. The first event is tomorrow evening at High Middle School. All of the listening tour dates begin at 5:30 p.m. And on Tuesday, July 13th, for individuals that cannot make it out of their homes, it will be virtually through Zoom. So there's 3 opportunities in person, 1 virtually, all beginning at 5:30. Health and safety, when we are in person, we ask that you please wear a mask. And those in attendance will be asked to fill out a COVID-19 health screening questionnaire. So I hope to see many parents, teachers, students, community members at the listening tour or virtually through Zoom, so I can get feedback and you can learn more about Dr. Brown Hall. As always, you can connect with the district at the district website, williamsvillek12.org, through Twitter and Facebook. Our communications team does a great job updating those and keeping the information current. And that's all for this first community update.
All
So
right.
thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the community for the support. Does anyone from the board have any questions for Dr. Brown Hall on that update? All right, I look forward to coming to High Middle tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right, our district, let's see, where are we? Oh, we're on item 24, finance. So our internal audit report, did I skip one? Oh, let me go back.
Oh, you're right.
I'm glad I got my parliamentarian here keeping me on track.
You're right. 24 is next.
24A.
Anything on strategic planning?
Not at this
Oh,
time.
I
We'll,
see.
we'll get back to that. We definitely will get back to strategic planning.
Got it.
Sorry, go ahead.
No problem. So we are moving on to our internal audit report under budgeting and finance. And Dr. Brown Hall and Mr. Matursky, I turn it over to you.
I'll turn it over to Mr. Matursky.
Thank you, Dr. Brown Hall. This is the annual report that's chosen really by the audit committee each year. The way the internal audit is completed is there's a risk assessment done every year. And then within the risk assessment, if you go toward the end of it, it indicates when all these very special areas have been audited. So the budgeting area was last audited in 2012. So it really was time to have our internal auditor look at the procedures and to verify that what we were doing met the requirements of New York State, as well as the Board of Education in our community. I do know that there was a thorough process. We gave them information ranging from the 2019-20, 2021-22 budget development process. And I also know they talked with several board members in the audit. The findings, it's a little unique. The best finding you could have is satisfactory, and that's the finding that we have. They did note two areas in this audit that they just brought forward for our understanding. And one was how revenue sales tax is calculated, and the second one was how revenue Medicaid is calculated. And both of those areas, as I explained in the response, they really are very difficult to forecast into the future because of sales tax, for example, is dependent on the wealth and the economy of Erie County and how they share that with us. And Medicaid is really governed by federal law and New York State. So there have been years going back to about 2011 where we actually, New York State is, in fact, was audited by the federal government, and we received zero Medicaid dollars for a couple years until New York State complied with the federal government requirements. So having said all of that, the report, you may read it. It's there for your reading. And it does state that, again, our budget process is sound and met the best satisfactory requirement that could be given.
Thank you, Mr. Matursky. And for anyone interested, the full audit report is available on Board Docs. It gives a really nice explanation of what our responsibility is as board members in participating in that audit committee. I was able to serve on the audit committee this past year, and we did discuss the items that Mr. Matursky just spoke about. And everything is in compliance, and we got the highest rating possible, which is a satisfactory rating. So that's a testament to all of the good work happening under your leadership, Mr. Matursky. So thank you.
That's a big thing. Thanks a lot.
Would someone like to make a motion, please, to resolve and approve the extension of the athletic trainer contract as presented? Mrs. Van Sice, thank you. Mrs. Beeker as a second. Is there any discussion, please? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Does anyone have any legislative matters that they wish to discuss at this time? All right, thank you. Moving on to number 29 is the review of our district safety plan. Dr. Brown Hall and Mr. Scanzuzzo, will you please review the district safety plan, and then we will have our public hearing.
Thank you very much. I'll turn it over to Assistant Superintendent, Mr. Scanzuzzo. Thank you. Thank you. This evening's annual review of the district safety plan. This came in act from the save legislation of 2000 under Governor Pataki, basically making sure that schools will be insured for safety to the 21st century. If you take a look at our annual district-wide safety plan, very informative document, which basically lists all members, protocol, procedures, guidelines. In addition to, which is new this year, is the district communicable disease
continuity operations plan, which is something that's been added to this as a mandate. We work closely with everyone BOCES and Dennis Quazala, the safety officer there, who works for our school districts, to ensure that all these items are in place. This document will be put in place for public review for the next 30 days before it's adopted and appointed. So there's public expression in our next meeting if anybody has any concerns or questions regarding this safety plan.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez.
you.
So there is a list of all of the members of the team that are listed. So we have, in addition to staff members, there is a parent rep also on the team, and we have APD and our SROs on there as well. And we hope that we never have to utilize some of the things that are part of this plan, but we understand that we need to be prepared, especially in this day and age. Any other questions or comments from board members? All right, thank you. We will now hold a public hearing on the district safety plan. Anyone that would like to address the board regarding the district safety plan may please step up to the podium at this time. All right, thank you. Item 30 is our special needs and student activities item. Would someone like to make a motion, please, to approve the membership for the Committee on Special Education and the Committee on Preschool Special Education as presented? Thank you, Ms. Kasmerick-Faulkner. Mrs. Van Slyce, second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried unanimously. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the appointment of impartial hearing officers for the 2021-22 school year as presented? Thank you, Ms. Poland. Dr. Littman, second. Thank you, sir. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried unanimously. Does anyone have a matter that they wish to discuss under committee of the whole? All right. Go ahead, Dr. Littman.
Just for the new board members, and I know this changes over time, the focus of the committee of the whole, could you either now or at another time clarify to us how we will be using the committee of the whole?
Oh, we can use what?
How, what we can use it for and how
what
it's
the-
structured, because, yeah,
Absolutely. In fact,
to clarify it.
to make a note to go over that at the retreat.
Thank you so much.
The attorney will be reviewing the operating procedures, and so that's something we could add. And thank you for bringing that up, because that's a really important item, so that we understand that anyone has the right to bring up an issue under committee of the whole, but also no one appreciates surprises, right? We always want to be prepared with information, so we just
Yes.
ask that if someone doesn't tend to raise an issue, that they just send it in an email, just making that known that, I intend to speak about X during committee of the whole.
Yeah.
All right, and we'll review that a little bit further at the retreat. Thank you, Dr. Littman, for bringing that up.
Thank you.
Is there any correspondence anyone wishes to discuss? I want to just say that we received some, obviously, Unmasked Western New York has been sending us regular correspondence about unmasking. We've also received a few emails asking that we please continue to have masks in the fall. So we have emails coming in on both sides of that issue, which is probably to be expected. We haven't received any correspondence on any other issue that I'm aware of. All right, we will now be going into an executive session. May I have a motion, please, to adjourn the organizational board meeting and recess into executive session? We have two items, an employment matter relating to a particular person and an item of current litigation. I have a motion for that, please. Mrs. Beeger, thank you. Is there a second? Thank you, Mrs. Van Slyce. Any discussion on that? All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. We will now adjourn. Thank you.
Fun to